Greetings, true believers, it's Jake here, and I think it's safe to say that the world of Marvel games is quite an expansive one, with each entry containing an array of secrets and Easter eggs. As it happens, a lot of these games are so large that many of their secrets have flown under the radar of several players, and today we're here to remedy that situation. In this video, we're exploring the second game in the Marvel Ultimate Alliance series, which happens to be one of my favorite Marvel games and a worthy sequel to its predecessor. With that said, sit back and relax as we dive in to 5 Secrets of Marvel in Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2. Here we go. Starting off, we're heading to Captain America's White Star bunker, where the unregistered heroes and his resistance team are hiding out during the Civil War. If you're visiting this bunker after the base raid mission, which is also accomplished by replaying the level titled White Star 2 in the simulator, you'll come across Firestar typing on a computer. If you proceed to talk to her, one of the dialogue options will address that Firestar had supposedly retired. She'll then respond by saying that she had to join the fight again when Captain America started his resistance movement. One of the next available dialogue options mentions the fact that Firestar is working with Spider-Man and Iceman again. If you address this, Firestar will reply with the following statement.
It's always good to be around such amazing friends.
This is a very clever reference to the 1980s cartoon Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, in which the 3 leads were Spider-Man, Iceman, and Firestar. Additionally, if you talk to Firestar with either Spider-Man or Iceman, they'll mention the fact that they make a good team and should be put on TV, which is a bit more of a meta reference but still clever nonetheless. As Amazing Friends is one of the many superhero cartoons that I grew up watching, I definitely appreciated this clever nod to my childhood. Next on the list, we're heading to the other headquarters in the Civil War, Stark Tower. During any of the times that you're in Stark Tower while on the pro registration side, you'll see a lot of registration posters with Iron Man on them. However, you might have noticed that a number of these posters have the Iron Spider on them as well, which is the famous armor that was given to Peter Parker by Tony Stark in the beginning of the Civil War, as they were originally on the same side, until Peter revealed his identity, immediately regretted it because his family became targets, and then shifted allegiances to Captain America. As you'd expect, there are a plethora of direct references to the Civil War storyline in this game, some less obvious than others, and there's actually another that we'll get to toward the end of the video. Third on the list, we're returning to the White Star base, and even to the White Star 2 level. If you venture to the part of the base being shown on screen, you'll see that one of the people you can talk to is none other than Danny Rand, aka Iron Fist. Well, if you talk to him with Luke Cage, his fellow hero for hire, Rand states that the opposing side has a lot more political power, but that the rebels have a lot more heart and soul, which he believes to be more valuable than anything. One of Cage's possible responses is to jokingly ask Iron Fist if he has a fortune cookie to predict the outcome of the Civil War. If this dialogue option is selected, Iron Fist will respond with the following line.
Yep. Your lucky numbers are 5, 15, and 74.
Now for those of you who don't know, those numbers that were just mentioned are actually a reference to the first ever comic book that Iron Fist appeared in, Marvel Premiere number 15, which released in May of 1974, with May of course representing the 5 for the 5th month. These types of secrets that reference the debut of certain characters are some of my favorites in superhero games, and this is just one of many. Nearing the end at number 4, we're still in the White Star base. Last time, I promise. You'll actually need to go to the third White Star level in the simulator to discover what I'm about to show you. While venturing around the base, you can engage in conversation with a number of rebel heroes. Among them is one of the subjects of our last entry, Luke Cage. If you talk to Luke Cage with Captain America, the latter will ask for Cage's opinion on whether or not he thinks the Punisher offering to join the Resistance is a good idea. Cage will quickly dismiss this and state that the Punisher can't be trusted whatsoever, despite his combat experience. Interestingly enough, the Punisher was actually a key player during the Marvel Civil War. Although he stayed out of it at first, he eventually decided to enter the fray when he discovered that Iron Man and S.H.I.E.L.D. had started using nanite-controlled supervillains to enforce the Registration Act. This causes him to join Captain America's cause, and as a result, he later ends up saving Spider-Man's life. Due to his role in the comic run, I would have personally liked to have had the Punisher be playable in this game and see his perspective on the war as a whole. And while he would eventually be playable in the third game way down the line, I think his ideal placement would have been in this installment. And finally, last on our list, we're heading back to Stark Tower. This time, we're heading to the part of the game where our heroes are forced to choose a side. Do they register with the government to uphold the law, or become part of an underground resistance movement? While venturing around Stark Tower and speaking to various heroes who have already chosen their side, if you head up to where Spider-Woman is hanging out, you'll come across an audio log. Take a listen.
With the Superhuman Registration Act looking likely to pass within the week, we recently sat down with one of its most surprising critics, Captain America.
Thanks for having me, Brian.
Our pleasure. Captain, in the wake of the Stamford tragedy, the public overwhelmingly favors mandatory registration for all superhumans. Can millions of Americans be wrong?
Unfortunately, they can, Brian. Our country's history is littered with wrongs that most Americans approved of at the time. Slavery, the incarceration of Japanese Americans during World War II, the McCarthy hearings.
But how do you deal with it, knowing that nearly everyone is against you on this?
I think of what Mark Twain wrote on the subject. If you alone of all the nation shall decide one way, and that way be the right way according to your convictions, you have done your duty by yourself and by your country.
An inspiring quote.
Absolutely. When the mob and the press and the whole world tell you to move, your job is to plant yourself like a tree beside the river of truth and tell the whole world, no, you move.
Now I want to address the quote that Captain America recited toward the end of this audio log. What some of you might not have known is that Captain America recited this exact quote beat for beat in the Civil War comic story as seen by this page on screen. This quote was also later reworded and adapted in Marvel Studios' Captain America Civil War in 2016. I have to give major props to the people behind this game and also that film for really doing their research and showing immense respect for one of my favorite Marvel stories. And with that, the episode comes to a close. 5 Secrets of Marvel in Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2. Thank you all for watching this episode, and I hope you enjoyed yourselves and learned something new. If so, please leave a like, head down to the comments and drop your thoughts, share this video with your friends, and subscribe if you'd like to see more. Peace out, Marvelites.